Hello everyone and welcome to Greyhammer. Today we're going to be talking about how to maximize your mortal damage with Seraphon, and I think I've got a really fun list to do that. I really think this list can do a lot of damage, which Seraphon is not known for doing a ton of damage in the current meta as far as I'm aware of. So let's get into this list. Kind of focused here in on Lord Kroak and the Bastillodon Arc of Sotek because they both received massive facelifts for Age of Sigmar 4th edition, making them pretty formidable to face off against. So, on to kind of our next point is just a kind of the army in it as a whole. Lord Kroak coming in at 430 points, and the Skink Star Priest backing him up. 3 Archosotek Bastillodons, 230 points apiece, and then a Source Old Blood on Carnosaur with 290 points, and 2 more Archosotek Bastillodons at 230 points. So 970 points total. You're having 5 Arcs of Sotek. I think this list is going to be kind of cracked. You can't use 5 Monstrous Rampages in a turn, but you're going to have options on where you're going to want to put that one Monstrous Rampage in each combat phase. We'll kind of get into that a little bit more, but I think it's going to be really cool. So let's get into it. For asterisms, you're probably going Itzel the Tamer, but your companion weapon's getting crit 2 hits. You're not going to use that on your actual snakes. It will help your Carnosaur, but Quetzal the Preserver is also pretty tempting. If you make your Bastillodons pretty defensive, then you can have a 2-up save of ignoring Rend 1. Or ignoring 1 Rend. I always say that wrong. So I think there's an argument to be made for Quetzal the Preserver, depending on how defensive you're allowed to be in your deployment. If you have to go on the offense, then definitely go Itzel the Tamer. And at least since this is in the this does happen in the deployment phase, you're going to have the ability to kind of react to your opponent with these. And then third battle round, you can take the other one. Topok the Seer could also work for the +1 to cast, but I don't think it's as necessary. Lord Kroak's already a beast. You're going to get Thunderquake, Starhost, and Nest. Scaling Monstrosities, just adding 2 to the health of all of your Bastillodons, and your Source Old Blood on Carnosaur is just going to be too good to pass up. Source Old Blood on Carnosaur, you're going to give the Incandescent Retrices and the Being of the Stars. It's the artifact combination that I think everyone's just kind of settled into. I think they need to add more artifacts and command traits, because otherwise, or at least maybe even buff the others, because I think these 2 stand above the rest. I toyed with doing other ones, but I think this is just the way. Spell lore, I think there's an argument that you go the other spell lore in this one, but I've heard this is the better one. So you can do Comet's Call to do lots of damage to a Horde unit. Speed of Launch you to make your Bastillodons run and charge, which can be useful. And then Mystical Unforging to remove Rend from enemies, which could be good. Could be pretty useful. But the other one has a healing spell, which with this many monsters could be really good. It's just kind of personal preference at that point, so let me know in the comments what you think on that. This is probably a good point in the video to go ahead and say, if you're enjoying these kinds of lists, please go ahead and hit this video with a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm open to more ideas for different types of lists. Feel free to send them to me either here or on my Discord, link in the description. So, into the War Scrolls, we've got Lord Kroak. Lord Kroak is a beast. We've talked about him a few times now, but his mortal damage output is pretty insane. AKA, you can do 27 mortal damage if you roll everything 100% perfectly on him, each of your hero phases. 27 mortal damage is nothing to sneeze at. You're not guaranteed it, but he also can spread out damage quite well. He's not as good as focusing targets, but he can spread out damage among 3 targets pretty well. He's got that 18 health, 5-inch move, 4-up save, and control 5. He's got his 12-inch range shooting attack, 1 attack, 2s to hit, 3s to wound, rend 2, d6 damage, can shoot in combat. And again, I have not tried Lord Kroak yet, but this shooting attack actually sounds pretty decent. If it had a longer range, it would be on par with a lot of artillery options. So that's kind of funny. Azerite Force Barrier, 2d6 attacks, 3s to hit, 3s to wound, 1 rend, 1 damage, crit mortals. Also not that bad. You get to add 2 to casting rolls, 1 to unbind, and you can unbind from anywhere on the battlefield. So he's pretty strong on that field. The one weakness of him is that he is a bit unpredictable with how long he's going to be in the game, because you must use this ability each turn while he's damaged. Roll 3d6, add the number of damage points this unit has to the roll. On a 20 plus, the unit's destroyed, otherwise heal 18. So basically, you can heal up to full, or you could just instant die, as long as you've taken 2 damage. If you've taken 1 damage, then you just instant heal. Arcane Vassal, he can pick a Skink Wizard wholly within 18 and use them to cast his spell from that character instead of the range of his character. So that's what that Skink Star Priest is there partially to do. Celestial Deliverance, casting value of 7. You can pick it more than once per phase, pick up to 3 visible enemy units within 18, casting a roll of 2d6, inflict d3 mortal damage on each target. This is the spell that, if you do it perfectly, you can do 27 mortal damage. You're almost never going to do that. If you did, I'd be very surprised and would be looking at your dice very seriously. But it's quite easy to do 10, 15, 20 mortal damage with them. So, this is not a Sand Star Master. We've covered this guy quite a bit, but he's going to be your melee character that deals a lot of damage. And 1 second, and I'll update this slide. Alright, we're back. So he has 14 health, 16 if you take the 16 with the battle formation you're going to use. 10-inch move, 4-up save, control 5. D6 attacks with his Sunbolt Gauntlet, 12-inch range, 3s to hit, 3s to wound, rend 1, 1 damage, can shoot in combat. His Sunstone Spear is 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, rend 1, 2 damage, and does an extra damage on the charge. Clawed Forelimbs, 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, wounding on 2s, rending 1, and 3 damage. And his Massive Jaws, 3 attacks, 4s, and 2s, rend 2, 3 damage. While he has 10 or more damage points, he only gets 2 attacks with his Jaws. And if he charged this turn, add 1 to charge rolls for friendly Saurus while they're wholly within 18. Not useful this game. Subtract 2 from control scores of enemy units while they're in combat with him. That can be pretty useful. And then Blood Frenzy is battle formation. Is if this unit is in combat with any damaged enemy monsters, roll a dice. On a 3-up, he gets strike first. So it's not that hard to have damaged enemy monsters if they're going up against this composition, because you're going to have a lot of mortal damage that you can do from range. So you can probably get that pretty reliably. Skink Star Priest as your kind of support character. 5 health, 8-inch move, 6-up save, control 2. Serpent Staff, 3 attacks. 4s, rend 1, d3 damage. Pick a visible friendly Seraphon unit wholly within 18. Roll a dice. On a 2-up. The target's melee weapons have crit, auto wound. This guy's mainly to act as a extra range on Lord Kroak spells and 1 extra spell on the lore, probably reducing some enemies' rend. But that crit auto wound can go on your Saurus Old Blood and work pretty well for him. And now into kind of the meat and potatoes of our list, the Bastiladon with Ark of Sotek. 12 health going up to 14, 5-inch move, 2-up save, control 5. His Handler's Meteoric Javelins are 12-inch range, 6 attacks, 4s to hit, 4s to wound, rend none, 1 damage, can shoot in combat. The actual Ark of Sotek itself is 20 attacks, 4s to hit, 5s to wound, no rend, 1 damage, crit mortals, and companion. So you're really just fishing for 6s with those, which you're pretty... Statistically, you're doing 3 mortal damage in combat with enemies with this attack. You can spike that, of course, you can go lower than that. You might even do some more regular damage with him as well, especially with the bludgeoning tail, which is 3 attacks, 3s to hit, 3s to wound, rend 1, d3 damage, and his companion. So if you do go the Isil the Tamer, that you can get special crits on that, but you're taking the crit mortal on the Arc of Sotek for sure. And then he's got his own rampage ability, the Arc of Sotek, where you pick up to 3 different enemy units within 9, does not have to be wholly within, of this unit to be the targets. Roll a d3 for each target. On a 2-up, inflict amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. So, you can technically do 9 mortal damage in each combat phase with your Bastillodons as well. So, definitely going to be significantly more powerful than they used to be. They used to kind of suck. They only had the melee weapons, which it was just like fishing for 6s, and that's not something you want to rely on. Adding this makes them significantly better, and just crit mortals along with that means that you can get some pretty serious mortal damage output with these guys. I really want to run this list. I think it's going to be quite fun. But let's get on to tactics. Lord Kroak's you're going to use to deal mortal damage from a distance. Your Skink Star Priest is going to provide magical support and buffs, along with being your arcane vassal. Saurus Oldblood on Carnosaur, you're going to want to use him to group up enemies and take on monsters, get things bunched up together so Lord Kroak can do his mortal damage thing. And then Arc of Sotek, basically the same thing. You want to deal mortal damage with their rampages and their crits. I really think the Arcs of Sotek are going to kind of be these really defensive pieces that can just, anything that goes up against them is just going to get ground down into oblivion. As for alternatives to this list, I think changing one of these guys out with an Engine of the Gods is pretty reasonable. That way you can get some healing into the list as well. Or Strike First even if you get a good roll. I don't think the Strike First is as important with this list. I think the extra healing would be useful. Again, you could trade out that spell lore with the other one that allows you to Light of Chotek up your Bastillodons, so you can turn, you can just kind of keep that grind going, but the ignoring 1 rend is also pretty useful. So, other things, I thought about an Astrolith Bearer, to give a ward to those Arc of Soteks to make them even tankier. 2-up save, ignore 1 rend if they're in your territory, and then just 6-up ward. But I don't think it's necessary, especially with Lord Kroak already having a ward. I think this list has some real teeth on it, and I think it could be really fun. It's slow is definitely one of the weaknesses. The Saurus Oldblood kind of makes up for that, but he can't go up against a whole army. So maybe that run and charge spell is a little bit more useful if you can put that on one of your Arcs of Sotek to push them up onto an objective and just hold it. You really just want to grab an objective and just grind people down on top of it. But that's going to be it for this one. Again, like I said earlier, please, if you like this content, go ahead and like this video. Let me know what kind of armies and lists you'd like to see in the future. I'm open to covering different factions and different styles of armies. If there's any Seraphon ones you'd like to see covered as well, just go ahead and leave that in the comments. If you want to see all those new content coming out, then go ahead and subscribe. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.